Hello and welcome to this second programming session and the fifth video in the tutorial series. So in this tutorial series, we are just going to be adding some things to the complex class. I have a private static in size here whose value is going to be 8 as we talked about. And I've also got a static get size method which also we talked about, and I've got the overloaded add method. So we're basically going to cover static methods and method overloading. So one thing that I want to talk about before we start that is something called typecasting, and I'm pretty sure you must have heard of typecasting if you've done programming in any other language. So in Java, there are two types of typecastings. One is the widening typecasting. This is also called the automatic typecasting. And the second one we have is a narrowing typecasting. And this one is manual. So what this means is the widening typecasting means that, let me just write this here. So the widening typecasting means that it's from a smaller uh, type to a larger type. Uh, Basically, examples of this are something like int to float. So Java would do this automatically, but it won't do something like float to int automatically. It would not do truncation. This is a big no. Java would not do that automatically. There has to be an explicit typecast in that case. So the reason I talked about this is that when we do overloading, what Java basically does is two things. So when we overload, Java does first, it looks for a method with the given name and given types of parameters. What it does next, if it doesn't find one that exactly fits the one that we are trying to invoke, is that it looks for a method with the given name and where the types can be obtained via an automatic typecast. So these are the two steps that Java does when we do overloading, and these are very important, so you might want to note these down. So that's one thing I wanted to talk about before we started uh, programming. And let's just go ahead and write our program now. So I've got a private static int size equals 8, and I'm going to add a method which is the public static int get size, and this is just going to return the size, and this should take care of the static part. And now we need a public complex add with a complex other. So now what this one does is that it returns. So let me just do, okay, let's just do return new complex, um, where the real part is the sum of my real part, the one that is invoking it. So if it's z1.add, this real refers to the real of z1, so this real right here. So real plus other.real, and the imaginary part would be imaginary of z1 and other.imaginary, and that's what I need to return here. That's it for the addition. with the complex part, and I need a public complex add with a float real. So what I need to do is return new complex. So this time there could be a confusion between the real here and the real of my complex class. So this time I need to do this dot real plus real. Uh, this because it's just a float, so I can add two floats here. So that and this dot, I don't really need this in the imaginary part because in case of imaginary there's going to be no confusion. So I think this should work. Let's go to our test.java. And alright, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a system.out.println, and I'm going to print size of a complex number is plus complex dot get size. Uh, Pay attention to how I'm calling the get size. I'm calling it via the complex class itself and not an instance of the class. So this should work, and I'm also going to do complex z4 equals z1 dot add z2, and uh, let's just make z2 as 5 and 7, and I'm going to make, okay, let's just do a complex z5 equals z1 dot add, and I'm going to pass it something like 3.0f, and then I'm going to do a z4 dot print and a z5 dot print, and let's just go to our command prompt and try to compile this. Javac complex.java and javac test.java. Alright, all compiled. So I do java test, and I've got size of a complex number is 8 right here. And the next one I got, it's the addition of these two, so it's 1 plus 5 6 and 2 plus 7 9, which is correct. And the next one was adding a 3.0 to this one, and that's what has happened here. So I'd like to go a little into detail and just add a system dot out dot println here, and a complex addition, and I'm going to have another system dot out dot println right here, and I'm going to say float and complex addition, and let me just do a javac complex.java. That done, I can do java test, and so I first got a complex addition, which is this one. So the reason that this got printed later is because I'm adding both of them first and then printing. So but first I got complex addition, which was this method right here, this add method, and later I got float and complex addition. You can see it right here, float and complex addition. That's for the second addition. This is the add method that got called. So that's what I wanted to show you, and next time I'll see you in a theory session, I guess. So see you then.